CTV News at 6 with Marina Moore and Tony Rima with weather.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Marina is off this week. We begin tonight in Timmins, where two shootings over the weekend have police looking for a suspect in one of the incidents.
On July 31st, shortly after 1 a.m., officers responded to reports of gunshots in the area of Balsam Street North near 5th Avenue. One male victim was transported to the hospital and was pronounced deceased. The ensuing investigation determined that a person had been shot by another individual known to him. Officers secured the area and processed two residences and the outside areas for evidence and released to the homicide as related to the homicide investigation.
31-year-old Jason Bartley from the Toronto area was identified by police as the victim. A gun was found at the scene. Police say there is no threat to the public, and they are encouraging the suspect to turn themselves in. The second shooting happening on August 1st around midnight in the Ray Street South and Wilson Avenue areas. One person was killed and two others wounded. Two suspects were arrested in that shooting. Police say the incidents are not connected. Both were targeted and connected to the drug trade. Kapuskasing OPP are investigating the death of two campers over the weekend. Police were notified Saturday two campers had not returned home from their campsite near Gwinnett Lake. The area was searched and officers located the two individuals dead on Sunday. This is believed to be an isolated incident, but investigators are asking anyone who may have noticed something suspicious between Thursday, July 30th and Sunday, August 2nd to contact James Bay OPP. A fatal careless driving case from this past May in Sudbury was before a judge today. Sudbury police say a 6-year-old was killed May 19th when she was struck by a vehicle in the parking lot at Palace Place Co-op on 2nd Avenue in Middle Lake. 58-year-old Diane Leeson is charged with careless driving, causing death, and driving a vehicle while having cannabis readily available. She did not appear in court today, but her defense lawyer asked for 6 weeks for disclosure. The case is scheduled to be back before the judge September 15th. The child has been identified as Haven Winter K. Two people have been killed in a crash between a commercial vehicle and a moving truck south of Cochrane. It happened Sunday around 3 in the morning, about 20 kilometers south of Cochrane on Highway 11. Two people died and the driver of the commercial vehicle was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The highway was closed all day Sunday while police investigated. No word yet on charges. Meanwhile, one person was killed in a crash involving a pickup truck and a mobility scooter on Highway 17 near Landfill Site Falls Road, Sturgeon Falls. Police say a 73-year-old from the community was taken to hospital where he later died. The truck driver stayed at the scene and was uninjured. Highway 17 was closed for 5 hours for the investigation. Two people have been found dead following a boating crash in Muskoka over the weekend. Provincial police say a 32-year-old man and 30-year-old woman from Toronto died on Lake Rousseau. Officers discovered a severely damaged boat resting on a rock ledge near Backenrig Bay late Friday night. The victims were recovered by the OPP's Underwater Search and Recovery Unit Saturday. The investigation into what led the crash remains ongoing. Today marks the first day of flights returning residents to their homes in Kashechewan. Back in January, 1,800 people were flown to 4 different host communities following a state of emergency with the community's water supply. It took that amount of time to repair the water treatment plant and ensure the water was safe to consume. Leadership confirms several flights today have already returned residents back home, and the rest will be flown back throughout the week. 350 people did stay in cash during the crisis. A family who owns a camp in Wikwemkong on Manitoulin Island is being called brave for their quick actions. CTV's Madison Marier explains.
Nicole Jacko and her family were enjoying themselves at their camp on the island over the long weekend when they saw heavy smoke coming from across the bay.
Well, we're all just looking at each other like, well, we can't just leave it. You know what I mean? So we jumped in the kayaks and we just went over there. Everyone grabbed buckets.
Jacko and 2 of her cousins braved the smoke and heat for over 2 hours as they formed a chain to pour buckets of water on the burning tree.
It was a long time, but we didn't stop, we were like desperate, you know, and we're yelling across the bay at my family to like keep calling fire because we were kind of worried that we wouldn't be able to get it out. The tree was so hot. We were burning ourselves trying to put water in it. Like it was crazy.
The MNR confirmed the 0.1 hectare fire on August 2nd, and they responded after the family's efforts, which were applauded online, with many community members calling Jacko and her family brave for their actions.
Our motivation was save the island, essentially, because like it's such a small community of where it was close to, which is my reserve, Wikwemikong. So, and with all the wildfires happening, we couldn't let this get out of control if there was something we could do before fire came.
Jacko says she and her family appreciate the support online, as it was a tiresome undertaking, but says it has to be done.
Honestly, it was like really validating, I found, like, because we worked so hard.
Jacko says they found a tackle box, fishing rod, and small grills next to the smoldering tree. Fire officials have not confirmed how the fire started. Madison Marier, CTV News, Sudbury.
A business giant from our area, philanthropist and Order of Canada recipient, has passed away. The founder of Manitoulin Transport, Doug Smith, passed away over the weekend. Smith, who called Gorbet home, began a company that flourished under his watch, becoming a nationwide name. His family donated $1 million to the Manitoulin Health Center. I had the pleasure of meeting him 5 years ago at a practice for the Manitoulin Swing Band, which has been entertaining Islanders for more than 7 decades. I asked him what kept them all going after 70 years.
We're all crazy.
He had such a great sense of humor. The Gorbet mayor has issued a statement. In it, he writes, "I shall never forget him, the contribution he made to the town of Gorbet and beyond. We will all miss him very much." Doug Smith was 93 years old. May his memory be a blessing. To check out our story from 5 years ago and to see him play with the Manitoulin Swing Band, he was so talented, head to our website at ctvnewsnorthernontario.ca. Time for our first check on weather. Here's CTV's Tony Rima. Tony, I gotta say, it's still looking pretty great out there in Sudbury.
Yes, Ian, you're right. Good evening, everyone. Not a bad evening across the broadcast region. Pockets of activity, increasing cloud cover, though, and a chance of precipitation. As we take a look at our forecast radar, you see a system moving through. As a result, things are going to be just a little bit more unsettled, but things aren't going to be too bad temperature-wise. They're going to tick up and then come down, and the system will eventually move out, and we'll get plenty of sunshine. I'll have more weather details a little later in our show. Ian, it's back over to you.
Thanks, Tony. There's more to come on CTV News at 6. For now, let's go to a live shot of Sudbury. This from our tower camera high above our station here on Frood Road in Sudbury. Pointed at the flour mill, the sun is shining. It's looking gorgeous outside, which is good. I have some gardening to catch up on. Just how long will it last? Tony's got the answers. Stay with us. You're watching CTV Northern Ontario. The cleanup continues in the St. Catharines area after flooding caused by back-to-back rainstorms in the past few days. Today, residents are not only dealing with the mess, but bracing for more rain ahead. CTV's Mike Walker has more.
This was all under 18 inches yesterday. You can see the water line here.
With the water now receded, the extent of the damage is clear.
Everything 4 feet down, well, to here. Everything's going to be cut.
Neighborhoods in St. Catharines lined with dumpsters in the driveway and large piles of debris on front lawns, including appliances, furniture, and flooring, as residents clear out their basements after back-to-back floods in a matter of a week.
Sewer back up, everything's destroyed. It's really sad. It's pretty hard to deal with.
A state of emergency in effect in St. Catharines and the town of Lincoln after 3 torrential rainstorms since July 21st.
And we got a little over 3 feet.
Tiffany Mayer, among many residents, now dealing with their insurance companies and restoration crews for the second time in days.
My daughter's father, who had passed away last year after 6 years with ALS, we had memories of him tucked down there, and I tried my best to save what I could, but everything was lost.
St. Catharines mayor says the storms dropped a hurricane's worth of rain that overwhelmed the city's infrastructure, impacting 2/3 of the city.
The intensity and the volume of the rainfall overwhelmed the natural drainage and the municipal infrastructure across the community.
Contractors now working around the clock. The calls haven't stopped.
The more you get into the houses, the more you see that it's actually more catastrophic than people even imagine.
The road to recovery will be long and expensive, prompting the mayor to make another appeal to the provincial and federal governments.
We need that help from upper levels of government to be able to achieve those goals of making this community's infrastructure as resilient, as strong as possible.
Premier Doug Ford has vowed support, including Ontario Corps, a volunteer program that provides assistance in emergencies. But the local NDP MPP is demanding the province provide funding through its Disaster Recovery Assistance Program to help with costs not covered by insurance.
We don't need promises, we need relief. We need recovery funds for these residents.
A spokesperson for the Minister of Emergency Preparedness and Response says the government is currently assessing the situation for eligibility for disaster recovery funding and determining what other additional resources may be needed. The mayor says city crews are working around the clock, responding to urgent service requests, assessing the damage, and preparing for even more rain later this week. Mike Walker, CTV News, St. Catharines.
There's still no word when WestJet will be able to get operations back up to full speed after a tentative agreement ended a one-day strike. Many WestJet customers are still trying to firm up their travel plans.
It's frustrating, but I understand. We took the chance, we rolled the dice, and so we're just going with the flow. We knew that coming in, so we're working with it.
Relief. Oh my God. It was one of the most anxious time periods I've ever had.
The airline and the union that represents some 4,400 flight attendants reached a tentative agreement Monday. Neither side is sharing specifics of the deal yet. The flight attendants have 30 days to ratify the agreement. Cabin crew walked off the job Sunday morning. WestJet then grounded all flights on what was, for many Canadians, a long weekend. Well, there's a sense of relief in the air now that WestJet says it will have its entire fleet flying again in the coming days. For those scrambling to find a way home right now, it's a painful process. CTV's Campbell brings us some Canadians left in limbo.
The difference a day can make. These picket lines went from singing to silence. These WestJet ticket counters that were once quiet, now in total chaos. Everyone battling for the hottest commodity here, WestJet airline tickets. For those that got them, relief to be able to go home.
It'd be nice to sleep in my own bed, have clean clothes.
But not everyone was so lucky. Even after striking flight attendants went back on the job, many here still searching for a way home. More than 900 WestJet flights were canceled over the weekend. According to a global aviation analytics company, more than half of those took place on Sunday. And that has left countless Canadians still stranded abroad. There's the Santos family. A layover in Iceland has now turned into a very expensive trip extension.
Right now, as it stands, we're adding another $4,000.
With no idea if their tentative flight back to Manitoba will go ahead tomorrow.
This is now the third time that our flight is being rescheduled.
The Peace family, stuck in Scotland, initially WestJet rebooked them with other airlines Sunday, but when they went to the airport, this happened.
Once we actually got to the airport, although we'd been rebooked, we hadn't been issued tickets. So once we visited those airlines, they actually had no knowledge that we were rebooked with them.
Then there's this Calgary couple in Mexico who were rebooked to return home through California. The only problem is Mariana is a Mexican national and can't have a layover in the U.S. without a visa.
When you just auto rebook someone without maybe knowing what their limitations are for, entering countries, it makes it, snowball effect of problems that lead out of it.
So the advice from travel experts, pay for your own way back.
And then charge that ticket to WestJet, make them pay for it. If they don't pay it, then a judge will order them to pay it.
With these families out thousands of dollars, already exhausted, fighting to get home, now with another battle on their hands when they return, hoping to get some of their money back. Kamal Karamali, CTV News, Toronto.
The health minister was in Scarborough today to celebrate the beginning of construction of a new emergency room. While it's being touted as progress, the union representing the staff who might work there say the state of the province's healthcare system is on financial life support. CTV's Siobhan Morris has more.
On the eve of a provincial by-election call in a Scarborough riding, the Ford government celebrating the start of construction on a new emergency department at Centenary Health.
This new state-of-the-art ED will reduce wait times and provide Scarborough Health Network with the additional capacity it needs.
The department expected to open in 2031. The union representing staff who might work there sounding the alarm over funding, saying the current setup is unsustainable.
We've gone into a situation where hospitals are borrowing money to be able to meet payroll and other costs.
The hole $400 million deep. CUPE insists higher wages for medical staff are not the problem.
Expenditures on drugs and contracted out and sundry services, where increases have risen in the 9 to 12% range per year.
CUPE is calling on the province to pump an extra $5 billion into hospitals.
To clear the surgical wait lists, to take people off the stretchers in hallways, and to add the capacity to make the system able to meet the demands of an aging population.
The Minister of Health insists this government has ponied up in ways the previous Liberal government didn't.
$1 billion a year for the last 4 years is not an insignificant sum of money.
With over 3,000 new hospital beds in the pipeline and helping to establish new medical schools.
So we're making the investment on the capital side. We're also making the investment on the health human resources, because you can't open beds if you're not going to have clinicians to serve.
Sylvia Jones has tasked hospitals with coming up with plans to balance their books, but her ministry isn't sharing those reports. CUPE has counted some 1,300 job losses in Ontario hospitals since September. Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Sault Ste. Marie police had an unusual suspect outside the station recently. A black bear climbed up a utility pole in front of the building. With nowhere else to go, the bear eventually surrendered and made its way back down. Officers watched from a safe distance and then gave it a police escort off the property and back towards the woods. While black bear sightings aren't uncommon here, obviously, police are reminding people to give them plenty of space and to never feed them. What a cutie. Back now for a check on the current conditions with Tony Rima. How's it looking out there tonight? Can I leave the windows open?
Ian, yes, you can until about 5 or 6 tomorrow morning. Then you might want to close them because there's rain on the way. We're going to take a look at your current temperatures, and I'm going to just step aside here for a moment. In through Timmins is still a hot one, 29 degrees. Same temperature in through Cochrane. A little cooler, but very comfortable mix of sun and cloud for Moosonee. Kapuskasing 24 degrees as we head west to Chapleau 24. But here's the kind of the cooling off area in through Wawa 15 degrees, mainly sunny though. Much warmer in through Sault Ste. Marie. Mix of sun and cloud 24. Beautiful sunshine. Basking in Parry Sound 28 as we head up north. 26 degrees in through North Bay, slightly warmer in through Temiskaming Shores and Kirkland Lake. Beautiful sunshine, 29 degrees. Sudbury at this hour, mix of sun and cloud, 26 degrees. Same temperature for Espanola and beautiful sunshine in through Elliott Lake. Gore Bay, clear skies, 24 degrees. Your 7-day weather forecast is still to come. Ian.
Thanks, Tony. Next on CTV News at 6. A group of states are taking the Trump administration to court over tariffs. And the federal government is moving ahead with a proposed pipeline from Alberta to BC. Canada's top U.S. trade official is back in Washington for new talks with his American counterpart. It seems the two sides remain far apart, and there is the threat of more Trump tariffs in less than 2 weeks. CTV's Washington Bureau Chief Joy Melvin reports.
Canada's trade team posted this the last time around, proof of their meeting with U.S. Trade Ambassador Jameson Greer. The talk so urgent, so sensitive, the Canadian delegation put out a statement saying they're back in Washington to talk some more.
We're in a hard set of talks right now. I certainly understand why Minister LeBlanc and Chief Negotiator Charette and Ambassador Wiseman are being very, very discreet and very cautious about what they say and do publicly. This administration has been mercurial It is unpredictable at the best of times.
These talks unfolding against President Donald Trump's latest pressure tactic.
Mexico and Canada need us. We don't need them. The deal is important for them. It's not important for us.
As the clock ticks down to yet another Trump tariff, a threatened 50% aimed at Canadian goods, $20 billion in exports at risk starting August 19th. Retaliation, Washington says, for what it calls discriminatory Canadian treatment of U.S. goods. But having seen his fair share of hardball trade negotiations, former Finance Minister Ralph Goodale remains optimistic.
We're in the top 3 markets in the world for 47 of the American states. So obviously, despite the bluster, despite the arguments to the contrary on the American side, Canada is very critically important to the Americans.
Neither side, it seems, wants to blink first, and with little evidence of a breakthrough, at least the two sides are still talking. Joy Melvin, CTV News, Washington.
A group of 25 states are joining forces to sue the Trump administration over its latest round of tariffs.
My office and our coalition of attorneys general are fully committed to defending the rule of law and protecting our residents from unlawful economic harm.
Last month, the U.S. imposed new tariffs on 60 of its trading partners, including Canada, citing forced labor. These new tariffs kicked in just as the clock ran out on President Trump's Liberation Day tariffs. The U.S. Supreme Court had struck them down as illegal. The state's lawsuit argues that the Trump administration is trying to get around the Supreme Court ruling. The crew of a Liberian-flagged cargo ship has abandoned their vessel after it was hit by an unknown projectile while sailing through the Strait of Hormuz. The cargo ship reported being hit overnight while it was 37 kilometers north of Oman. This comes as the United States and Iran are making opposing claims on whether talks aimed at ending the war are actually taking place. President Trump says the two sides are resuming talks, while Iran insists it's only talking with Oman, with that discussion focused on the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has halted most traffic through the strait, while Washington maintains a blockade of Iranian ports and shipping. The federal government is taking the next step toward declaring a proposed pipeline from Alberta to the West Coast as a project in the national interest. The designation allows the federal government to fast-track approvals and bypass some environmental regulations. The public has until September 18th to comment on the proposal. The pipeline is a key part of an energy deal between Ottawa and Alberta. The roughly 1,250-kilometer pipeline would move more than 1 million barrels of crude oil from Alberta to a port near Delta, BC for export to international markets. A close call for a flight instructor and student who had to execute a risky emergency landing on a Florida highway. This dash cam footage captures the small aircraft somehow flying below the overhead highway sign before touching down on the road. Witnesses say the instructor and student both exited the plane unharmed. A dramatic rescue in eastern Toronto today as fire crews were called to the city's Scarborough Bluffs neighborhood near Lake Ontario to rescue a person who had been stuck on a cliff since sometime Monday.
Apparently dehydration caused from a significant period of time exposed to the elements. Apparently that person was there for approximately 24 hours.
Our news helicopter caught the scene this morning as crews set up their equipment below the stranded person. After Toronto fire crews performed a technical rescue, the stranded person was transferred to paramedics. There's no word on their condition or how they managed to get stuck on the cliff. Marineland has begun the second phase of its whale relocation plan. The second phase will see 7 more whales on the move as they head to SeaWorld's San Antonio location. The relocation comes just weeks after the shuttered tourist attraction successfully transferred 6 belugas to different parks in the U.S. Marineland says the health, safety, and well-being of the whales remains its top priority throughout the journey. The park tried to move the animals to China last year, but was stopped by the federal government. Marineland closed in September 2024. There's more news ahead, but first, here's your full weather forecast with Tony Rima.
Thanks for that, Ian. And we are going to start with our forecast radar. Well, pockets of activity across the broadcast region. The evening doesn't look too bad, except for some rain early tomorrow morning in through Sault Ste. Marie, and then it's going to intensify in through the Sault, along with just south of Chapleau, and it's going to move in an easterly direction and hitting Sudbury, along with Timiskaming Shores, Timmins, Gore Bay, along with Parry Sound, also North Bay, getting the brunt of this as a low front moves through the broadcast region. Then we start to get some clearing on Thursday, so for the most part, expect sun and cloud and a chance of some rain. It's all because of this low pressure system and a cold front and a warm front that's going to kind of move through our broadcast region. As a result, we're going to get unsettled conditions, clearing skies, then back to sunshine. Temperatures going to fluctuate too. Should be about 23 to 25 degrees Celsius, depending upon where you live. Overnight, here are some temperatures and conditions you should know about. In through Sudbury, 16 degrees, increasing cloudiness. For Sault Ste. Marie, a chance of showers, 15. Timmins, 14. Some rain on the way. Timiskaming Shores, 16. Gore Bay, or make that North Bay, 16 degrees. Clear in through Moosonee, 17 degrees. A chance of showers. For Kapuskasing, 14 degrees. Wawa, a little cooler, 10 degrees. Unsettled, though. For Gore Bay, 16 degrees. A chance of showers. And Parry Sound, just a few clouds this evening, and 15. Okay, here's your 7-day weather forecast. As we head to Sudbury Nickel tomorrow, unsettled conditions. That continues until Friday when we get beautiful clearing. Sunshine, 28 degrees, then to the sun, cloud, rain kind of combination. Tuesday next week, 26, when it should be 24 as a daytime high. For Sault Ste. Marie, Algoma, sun, cloud, and a chance of some rain. Warming up Thursday into Friday. Cool down come Saturday, but increasing cloud cover, chance of some rain. Still overcast on Sunday. Next week, though, we start to get some clearing with a mix of sun and cloud. For Timmins, Cochrane, Kapuskasing, combination of conditions. It warms up Thursday into Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, rain. Tuesday, sun and cloud. For Timiskaming Shores and Kirkland Lake, it's going to be a soggy 48 hours. Friday, we get clearing. Temperature ticks up to 29. Then the weekend looks wet. At this point, we get a little clearing Monday. That carries over into Tuesday. And finally, folks, your 7-day weather forecast for North Bay, West Nipissing. Sun, cloud, a chance of some showers. A little cooler. 1 degree on Thursday, but the rain is going to stick around. Temperature ticks up on Friday. Come the weekend, sun, cloud, and a chance of some showers. That carries over into Monday. Tuesday, though, mostly overcast, 24 degrees when it should be 25 this time of year. And our picture of the day comes to us from Ted Gunn, who lives in Sudbury, but he snapped this picture of a black-crowned night heron at Fielding Park in Lively in Greater Sudbury. Thanks so much, Ted. We'd love to see your pictures. You can scan that barcode and send those pictures to us, or weather.pictures@bellmedia.ca. More news still ahead. You're watching CTV.
When you're planning to take a flight, rent a car, or book a hotel room online, there are hundreds of different websites to choose from. But once you've found what you're looking for and you go to pay, you have to make sure closely that the currency you're being charged is the right one. CTV's Pat Foran has details.
Nothing indicated that it was in U.S. dollars. Nothing at all.
Elizabeth Haddock of Orangeville planned a trip with her friends to Picton and needed a hotel room for 2 nights. She started her search on Trivago, which took her to the website super.com. She booked a room and thought she was paying in Canadian funds.
It wasn't until I got my credit card bill.
Haddock says instead of being charged $430 Canadian, it was $430 US, so the total jumped to $610.
Why would I want to see a U.S. price?
In a statement, Trivago said Trivago is not involved in the booking or payment process. The site that completed the reservation is best placed to investigate the charge. When Haddock reached out to super.com, she was offered a $43 credit, which she declined.
Normally, when you book anything online, I always get the price I expect.
Suraj Guganya Vaughn needed a rental vehicle for a trip to Vancouver. He booked with Next Car Rental, which stated on its website transactions were in Canadian dollars. But if you prepay for a rental, it's in U.S. funds. Guganya felt that was misleading.
It seemed like Canadian to me because it had the Canadian taxes and everything. And then later on, when I look at my credit card statement, I see that it was charged in USD.
Instead of paying 420 Canadian, it was 420 US, which made the charge $611. After we contacted Next Car Rental, the company said it made some changes to its website, saying we removed the line about all transactions being in Canadian dollars. All prepaid reservations booked on nextcarrental.com are in US dollars and always have been.
The best websites will make it very clear.
Travel experts say the best advice is to check websites carefully before finalizing transactions.
On the final page, I want to see if it's in CAD or USD, and if it doesn't say, I go back a page and double check personally.
In Guganya's case, Next Car Rental refunded the difference. As for Haddock, she feels she deserves money back too.
I want the difference to be refunded to my credit card.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
Studies show about a quarter of adults suffer from delirium at some point during a hospital admission. That's 500,000 Canadians a year. But as our health reporter Pauline Chan tells us, artificial intelligence can soon play a key role in preventing that.
Artificial intelligence can...
Dr. Amol Verma's interest in delirium sprang from his grandmother's experiences during leg surgery.
And that was really striking for us because she was someone who was so mentally sharp and always very bright. And, you know, she was suddenly disoriented. She was talking about a wedding that wasn't happening.
Dr. Fahad Razak says delirium is extremely common, affecting 20 to 30% of all Canadians hospitalized for any range of conditions.
People are extremely confused. They may be very somnolent, so barely responsive. Other patients can be very agitated. They can not recognize family members or friends. They can have trouble eating or drinking. It is so serious that once you develop delirium, the chance of dying in hospital during that admission doubles.
And even if you recover, your chances of your brain sustaining permanent damage, requiring you to move into long-term care, for example, more than doubles. That's what prompted Unity Health to look at ways to identify high-risk candidates for delirium.
You can do it with very high precision, but it's very labor-intensive. So, for example, there's been a method that's developed that takes about 30 minutes to 2 hours per medical chart.
Not very practical, but an AI program developed by Unity Health using just 10 key factors is proving helpful. Harry Ennis's partner Bruce went through heart surgery last year.
I asked him sort of key dates, like when's your birthday, when's my birthday, and he didn't know them.
Ennis says the key is early identification of vulnerable patients.
You can reduce the chance of delirium occurring by as much as 40%.
You need to know about it before it happens, like before the surgery, so that you can monitor if it's happening. You can put in strategies to minimize it and keep the patient safe.
Things like being able to eat well, being able to stay hydrated, being able to get up and move and be physically active.
In Canada especially, we have a problem with recognizing it because many patients who are admitted to hospital don't speak English, and the fact that they are confused sometimes is not easily apparent to a healthcare worker.
The delirium risk calculator is currently being tested in several Ontario hospitals, and it will expand to 13 hospitals in October.
Delirium is the most important cause of hospital-acquired harm for Canadians, full stop.
Pauline Chan, CTV News.
A massive ship in the Halifax harbor turned heads this weekend. The German naval training ship stopped in the city as one of its longest voyages in decades. But why did it call on Halifax, and what did people have to say about it? CTV's Callum Smith found out.
Measuring over 81 meters long and having been a training opportunity for more than 18,000 cadets, the Gorchfock is a German icon. Its captain says stopping in Halifax is important to honor 75 years of Canadian-German relations.
But more than that, we also have a very strong Canadian-German defense cooperation.
This is one of the ship's longest voyages in decades, starting back in early April, featuring stops in France, Spain, Bermuda, and several American cities for Sail 250 activities, and racing her 3 active so-called sister ships. While the original Gorchfock is now a museum ship, long lines formed to get a closer look at this one, launching nearly 70 years ago.
Unbelievable that we get so much attention here in Halifax. I mean, we are here just for us, for regular port visitors. no sailing event, no other tall ships. People come to us just to see and visit Gorge Fock. That's a great honor for us.
Climbing aboard was a unique opportunity, especially for this German man who calls Canada home.
A piece of home for sure. I thought I got to go on there. It's once in a lifetime, and how is the chance coming from BC and all of a sudden see the Gorge Fock here? It's wow, incredible. But beautiful ship. It's
also taught cadets soft skills, says midshipman Eric Schultz.
How to get used to sleep deprivation, how to get used to pulling on ropes all the time. I mean, setting the sails, it's all manpower. So you can't just say, no, today I'm not feeling like it. You just have to do it.
The ship is relocating to HMC Dockyard for a crew swap and 2 weeks of training before departing for Iceland, then home.
Crossing the Atlantic, North Atlantic, during that time is quite something. We will expect high winds and high seas, of course, and therefore that's nautical-wise probably the most challenging part of this whole journey for us.
Callum Smith, CTV News, Halifax.
Still ahead on CTV News at 6. Amanda Hicks has a sit-down interview with one of the headliners from her Northern Voice, premiering here in Sudbury. Stay with us.
Clothing provided by Laura, Melanie Lynn.
Northern Voice is a music festival dedicated to shining a spotlight on female artists from across the North, and it's taken place in Sudbury for the last 5 years. For the first time, the festival features 3 major headliners, and Canadian icon and award-winning singer-songwriter Susan Aglukark is one of them. Susan joins us via Zoom in Oakville. Thank you so much for speaking with us.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. You are Canada's first Inuk artist to win a Juno Award and be named an Officer of the Order of Canada. As someone who has paved the way for so many, what does performing at a festival dedicated specifically to Northern women mean to you?
It's an absolute privilege. It's been about 35 years since this career started. And certainly 35 years ago, there weren't a lot of platforms where Indigenous women voices could be heard. And so having access to these kinds of platforms and spaces where you know you're safe to tell your truths, because a lot of our songs are truth-telling and lived experiences and stories. And having these platforms to share all of that is an absolute privilege, especially in today's global climate.
And your music has always bridged Inuktitut and English while addressing healing and Northern identity. As you perform classics like OCM, which I know is one of your favorites to perform, how has your relationship with those songs evolved over the years?
I think especially now, incorporating our respective Indigenous languages is resistance, is decolonizing, is reclaiming our cultural selves, which are very important. The discovery of our cultural selves through our lens is very important when we talk about healing and reconciliation. Reconciliation will be alongside healing for some time. And language and connection to language, discovering language, our respective languages, is that last thread of connection that we had almost lost, has not been lost. We are reviving through different works, artists for artists, writing for writers, songs for singers and songwriters.
That's beautifully said, Susan. And final question for you. This festival brings together legendary performers and emerging local talent. What message do you hope the next generation of female artists takes away from watching you take the stage?
The saying that struck me many years ago was feel the fear and do it anyway. There's always going to be challenges. We're going to go through burnout, especially as Indigenous female voices and Indigenous artists in general. Do it anyway. Trust me. What happens at the other end of this journey is a powerful thing. do the work that you are doing. Trust your process.
That's a great message. Susan, again, we really appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
That was Susan Aglukark joining us via Zoom from Oakville. She takes the stage as the headliner for her Northern Voice Saturday, August 8th. You can find the full lineup at sudburyperformance.ca.
A teenager from Powassan did something out on the golf course so rare most pro golfers have never done it. He hit a pair of holes-in-one. But as CTV's Eric Tashner tells us, how the teen scored them is what makes this story nearly impossible.
17-year-old Aiden Bahari doesn't consider himself to be much of a golfer. He only started 3 years ago. But last Wednesday was not par for the course when he pulled off the near impossible.
Couldn't believe it. It doesn't really feel real still.
While out with a few of his friends on Highview Golf Course, his remarkable round started on the 17th hole, which from the white tees is a short 98-yard par 3. Bahari teed off.
So we saw it drop, but we all thought it went long. And then we walked up, none of my buddies saw the ball. So we checked the cup, obviously, out of instinct, and it was in there.
Minutes later, after the excitement and trying to calm himself down, on the following hole, a 293-yard par 4, he grabbed his brand new driver and using the same ball, swung as hard as he could.
We saw it hit the green and we were like, whatever. So we just walked up, tried to get up there as quick as possible. There was a bunch of people waiting at the clubhouse for us. So they all saw it draw. All they saw me take it out of the hole. Nobody saw it drop. I picked up the ball and nobody believed me at first. Like, I started freaking out.
We were at loss for words, as I am still now, and we're in absolute shock.
Highview Golf Course says in the club's 40-year history, they've never had one person hit 2 holes-in-one consecutively, let alone on the same day. The course plans to etch Bahari's name on the clubhouse plaque.
He's been giving people tips over the last couple of days for sure.
The Professional Golf Association estimates hitting 2 standard holes-in-one in the same round occurs roughly once every 67 million rounds. But the odds of hitting 2 consecutive holes-in-one on a par 3 and par 4 are 1 in 75 billion.
It's kind of still sitting in the back of my head, like, how did that even happen?
Bahari hopes one day to replicate this feat, but until then, he'll just simply play through.
I've been questioning it. If I kept playing golf, what would happen? But we're going to stick to hockey for now. Maybe golf will be an afterthought.
Eric Tashner, CTV News, Powassan.
Entertainment brought to you by the Cinefest Red Carpet Patron Program.
The new Spider-Man movie just had the best opening weekend in history, and it could have made even more. David Daniel explains in tonight's Hollywood Report.
You ready? Spider-Man Brand New Day made $360 million domestically in its opening weekend without playing in any IMAX theaters, where ticket prices are higher. That's because The Odyssey, the first feature film shot entirely with IMAX cameras, booked all U.S. IMAX theaters for its first 3 weekends. But beginning Thursday, Spidey's Web will include some IMAX theaters, as the 2 films share the company's large format network. The Zac Brown Band celebrated their record 15th straight sold-out show at Boston's Fenway Park by sending their fans on a cruise. Margaritaville at Sea is sponsoring the band's current tour, and all 35,000-plus fans at Sunday's show received a free cruise for 2. Brown's reps tell USA Today it's the biggest audience gift in live entertainment history, valued at about $40 million. Hoping hope floats in Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Canada's trade surplus was bigger in June, hitting $3.9 billion. BNN Bloomberg's Morella Fernandez has more.
It was the 4th straight month that Canada reported a trade surplus. Statistics Canada says total exports hit $77.5 billion in June, with a 16.5% jump in minerals and metals exports. Strength was in gold. But the country exported 10% less energy. Canada imported 59% more computers and computer parts used in data centers. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up to 71.09 US. West Texas Intermediate down over $4 to 75.77 US a barrel. Western Canadian Select is up to 66.38. And the TSX shot up 575 points today. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marella Fernandez.
And here are the current prices for some key commodities we watch. Gold up $33.86, closing the day at $4,077.19 US an ounce. Silver up $1.94 to end the day at $59.53. Copper up 15 cents and nickel down 7 cents, ending the day at $7.67 US a pound. Tony's back now for one last look at the weather.
Thanks for that, Ian. Get ready for some rain tomorrow for most communities in our broadcast region. Let's start our forecast off in Sudbury, 25 degrees, 60% chance of showers. A lot of rain in through Timmins, but a little sunshine. 25 there for Sault Ste. Marie, 23 and 60% chance of rain as we head on over to North Bay. 26 sun, cloud, and a chance of some shower activity. Parry Sound, the outlier, 28 degrees, mix of sun and cloud, and Timiskaming Shores, 25 and a 60% chance of precipitation. Ian, it's back over to you.
Thanks for that, Tony. Finally for us tonight, residents and police in Duluth, Minnesota woke up to a soapy surprise this past weekend. What was likely meant as a prank has bubbled over into a police investigation as authorities search for whoever poured soap into this public fountain. A city plumber had to be called to shut it off. Kids look like they're having fun, though. That's our newscast this Tuesday night. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm off this evening, so Amanda Hicks will be in the chair for me at 11:30. Make sure to tune in. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a happy Tuesday. Good night.